Welcome back. I am absolutely thrilled you're joining us for today's explainer, because we're going to be unpacking the actual anatomy of a professional. Specifically, we're drawing directly from Chapter 6 of the Non-Commissioned Officer Guide to really dig into the absolute core of the Army profession. I want you to think of military professionalism kind of like an iceberg, right? There's this part you can see clearly above the water, but then there's this massive unseen structure underneath that's literally holding the whole thing up. And we're going to be looking at both of those today. So, that brings us to a pretty provocative question. What actually separates a true professional from someone who's, well, just wearing a uniform? It's a striking thought, isn't it? Because let's be honest, we all know folks who look the part on the outside, but actually acting the part when the pressure is truly on, that is a completely different story. So today, we're going to decode exactly what makes that difference.
Here's our quick roadmap for today. We'll start with the Army profession, cover customs and traditions, look at living the Army values, and finally wrap up with the 4 professional traits.
Okay, let's dive into Section 1, the Army profession. This is our historical foundation, basically the visible tip of our iceberg. Now, before we break down the really nitty-gritty specifics of how to be a professional, we've got to ground ourselves in the NCO Creed. It represents the immense historical weight and really the solemnity of the non-commissioned officer profession. It's a constant, everyday reminder that being an NCO is fundamentally about leading soldiers and upholding a truly time-honored core.
Moving right along to Section 2, Army Customs and Traditions. These are the visible daily practices you see in the Army profession.
Now, you might be wondering how this plays out in real life. Well, the operational environment dictates exactly how these customs function. Just think about a simple salute. In peacetime, it keeps soldiers motivated, keeping them connected to their unit's long, proud history. But in times of war, the stakes totally change. That exact same custom suddenly becomes a psychological anchor. It's what keeps the warrior fighting at the front. It provides this absolutely essential discipline when chaos is literally everywhere around you. The Chapter 6 text explicitly states, educating soldiers on the importance of observing customs and traditions is key to leader development. And I really want to emphasize this point because it proves that these traditions are absolutely not just parade ground theater. They aren't just for show, They are fundamental, incredibly practical tools for building actual combat leadership. Let's move to Section 3, Living the Army Values. Now we're officially diving beneath the surface of that iceberg we talked about, straight into the moral compass. The guide outlines a really robust set of core values. We've got honor, simply living up to those Army values, integrity, doing what is right, legally and morally, even when absolutely no one is watching you, and personal courage facing fear, danger, or adversity. And remember, that means both physical danger and moral adversity. This right here, this is the unseen weight keeping the soldier fighting. It's the internal drive. So the crucial point is in Section 4, the 4 professional traits. This is where we zoom all the way in on the individual action that officially certifies an NCO. I really want you to memorize these 4 traits. Think of it as your punchy, highly memorable 4-part mental checklist. Ready? Candor, competence, character, and commitment. This list is exactly what separates a certified professional from the rest of the pack. So let's break down exactly what Chapter 6 says about each of these, one by one. First up on the list is candor. The guide defines this as the demonstrated ability to be frank, honest, and sincere with others. Now, why is this first? Well, because perfect honesty is the absolute baseline for trust within a unit. Seriously, if you cannot be candid with your peers, your subordinates, and your superiors, the entire structure of trust just completely falls apart.
Next up is competence. It's defined as the demonstrated ability to successfully perform duty with discipline and to standard. Now, I want you to notice the nuance there. Competence is a whole lot more than just knowing a specific skill, right? It's the ability to actually execute that duty with strict discipline every single time, meeting the standard without exception.
Then we have character. This is your dedication and adherence to the Army ethic, including those Army values we just talked about a minute ago. But here's the thing. Character is way more than just internal beliefs. It must be consistently and faithfully demonstrated in your real-world decisions and actions. Essentially, character requires turning that internal Army ethic into observable reality. And finally, we reach commitment, which really acts as the glue for the whole thing. The guide explicitly points out that the consistent demonstration of all these qualities is what develops mutual trust within cohesive teams.
I mean, you can't just be candid or competence once and call it a day. It is the relentless, committed consistency of these traits that actually builds the mutual trust necessary to make a team truly cohesive and ultimately lethal. To wrap up today's explainer, I really want to turn the mirror directly on you for a second. Are you consistently demonstrating the traits of a cohesive team? We've looked at the whole iceberg today, right? From the deep institutional history all the way down to your daily individual choices. So I want to leave you with this provocative thought about your own personal commitment to the profession. Are you just wearing the uniform, or are you truly living the traits? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will see you next time.